Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Here we go again with more leftist hypocrisy. We're supposedly the side of violence. Supposedly the right is the side of violent insurrection. Oh, when those rightoids don't get what they want, expect violence. Right? That seems to be the popular narrative. The only thing is, I've yet to see really any clear, concrete examples. The only example that the left continues to cling on is January 6th, calls to violence, incitement of violence. What they're referring to when they say that is this, the clips we've played a million times.
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
I am asking for everyone at the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful, no violence. Remember, we are the party of law and order. Respect the law and our great men and women in blue. Thank you.
Yeah, so according to leftoids, telling people to be peaceful and to not be violent is a call to violence. That's the existential threat that right-wingers pose to our democracy. Meanwhile, the left, especially over the past decade, has done nothing but call explicitly for violence. I mean, literally and explicitly. I'm not using those terms incorrectly. No, literal calls to violence. I mean, they have slogans like bash the fash and punch a Nazi. And what they mean by Nazi is anybody that I disagree with politically, even if their views are common sense and totally benign. You know, the same group of people that burn down cities when they don't get what they want, the same kind of people who show up in front of a Supreme Court justice's home, Justice Kavanaugh in this instance, with the intent to inflict harm with deadly weapons. Yeah, apparently we're the violent ones. We're the people who are inciting violence and justifying violence. Complete and utter nonsense. There are no examples of mainstream right-wing calls to violence. Yet that's all we hear, that's all that's talked about. Meanwhile, this is what's happening on the activist left. Let me show you guys this clip. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so I might have to edit out some of the things that are said because the language is frankly vile and might not be safe for YouTube. But even though I might cut out some words, you pretty much should be able to get the gist of it.
Hi there, my name is Riddhi Patel. I'm here to speak in support of the City Council introducing a ceasefire resolution, specifically the one United Liberation Front has drafted. I don't have faith that you'll do this. You guys are all horrible human beings, and Jesus probably would have killed you himself. And the thing is, though, it's very clear to me as someone who's been an organizer for the past couple of years that none of you care because you guys don't care about anything happening in Palestine or any other country where oppression occurs because you don't care about the oppression occurring here. And I understand that you guys are all horrible people, but the thing is, 2,300 people being evicted in the last year, those are votes. And you guys, those are votes to win here in Bakersfield. And while you guys parade Gandhi around as a Hindu holiday called Chaitra Navratri starts off this week, I remind you that these holidays that we practice, that other people in the global south practice, believe in violent revolution against their oppressors. And I hope one day somebody brings the guillotine and kills all of you motherfuckers. The increased criminalization for no need other than you don't like when people come and hold you guys accountable for introducing ceasefire resolutions, because the only escalation in violence has been by you all, and so there's no need to continue. In the last 5 years I've attended city council meetings, there's never been metal detectors, there's never been more cops. The only reason you're doing it is because people actually don't care if you guys don't like them, and they're actually resisting, so you want to criminalize them. So regardless of whether you elect people into office, they'll backstab you, they'll let you die, and for that reason, you guys want to criminalize us with metal detectors, we'll see you at your house. We'll you.
Next speaker, please. Lance, followed by Kev, followed by Valeria. Ms. Patel, that was a threat, what you said at the end, and so the officers are going to escort you out and take care of that.
Overt calls of violence, calling for a violent uprising. This is what leftist activism has become. In my view, what we're seeing is radicalism. It's almost similar to the radicalism that we see across the globe. This ideology that's promoted to young activists has become so extreme, or probably a better term, so hyperbolic, so life or death, that if you fall for it, that if you buy into the culture, you have no choice but to become radical. You know, let's just talk about the whole trans thing. There's the basic, an understanding that different people are going to have different life experiences. Some some people are different, whatever they want to identify, however they identify. Base acceptance is one thing. Some of the more rational-minded people, I just want everybody accepted in society. And then there's the leftist approach, which is transgenocide. If you get convinced that that's the reality, well, then obviously your reaction is going to be extreme. And obviously we're seeing the same thing in response to what's going on in Israel and Gaza. The reality isn't so extreme, or I guess so out of the norm in what you see in most conflicts and deadly conflicts across the globe and throughout history. There's actually a moment from Joe Rogan's podcast which I think really puts it all into sober perspective.
How many members of Hamas are there?
40,000, something like that. I don't think the number is known, but it's tens of thousands. So Hamas says 32,000 people have been killed, civilians and soldiers. Israel says 13,000 soldiers have been killed by Israel. So let's not doubt either number. They could both be inflated. But if both of those numbers are accurate, which they may or may not be, that would be 13,000 soldiers killed, 19,000 civilians killed, which for urban combat in the Middle East is a very normal ratio. It's very distinct from genocide, because genocide is when you're trying to maximize civilian casualties. I think Israel, however imperfectly, is doing the opposite. They're trying to minimize civilian casualties.
For the most part, we're talking about typical warfare. You know, Obama, the left's political deity, had a much more deadly track record in the Middle East, but the leftist response is once again genocide. And then they take it to the extreme, bringing the issue domestically, accusing American politicians of supposedly being connected or involved in a humanitarian crisis, a genocide happening abroad. Then, of course, when you fall for the hyperbolic rhetoric, when you fall for these extreme misrepresentations of reality, when you look at these situations from a completely emotionally distorted lens, again, it leads towards a path of extremism. And that's exactly what we're seeing. That's what we're seeing with these leftists. You know, this is what they believe. They believe in violent uprisings. They believe in taking what they want by force. And while, of course, this individual was dumb enough to say it in such explicit terms directed at people, which subsequently got her immediately arrested and charged, and now she's being held on a $1 million bond.
And we begin with a breaking story. A pro-Palestine protester charged with threatening to murder Bakersfield City Council members was in court today.
You guys want to criminalize us with metal detectors? We'll see you at your house. We'll murder you.
Ms. Patel, that was a threat, what you said at the end, and so the officers are going to escort you out and take care of that.
On Wednesday, Radhi Patel was escorted from the City Council meeting after threatening council members who were weighing a Gaza ceasefire resolution. They also expressed outrage over the presence of new metal detectors at City Hall. They were booked on 8 counts of intent to terrorize and threatening state officials with a $2 million bond. Today, Patel pleaded not guilty. Pro-Palestinian activism groups United Liberation Front condemned the behavior. Patel is now due back in court April 27th.
While she was dumb enough to F around and find out, a lot of these leftists aren't. But trust me when I tell you that this view is widespread among leftists. It's just that some people are good at masking it, or some people are good at wording it in a way that won't get them immediately arrested on 16 felony counts. You know, we ought to wake up here, but most importantly, these 3-letter agencies better wake up. I mean, just take a look at what is boiling beneath the surface. The extremism, we've already seen it materialize into action, into violence. Not only widespread violence during supposed peaceful protests, but also some of these events of vehicular homicide and even mass casualty events in schools. Yet the FBI and the DOJ are more focused on Donald Trump and Trump supporters and the supposed right-wing threat to the American homeland. We need to wake up. We need a reality check, and fast. Extremism, radicalism is on the rise in the West. Wake up, people. It's staring you right in the face, and some of these individuals are saying it explicitly. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. As per usual, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe if you feel like joining us here. That's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one.